I'm Greg, sailor, bagpiper, and jack of all trades. Back in the shop temporarily, about to head out to the boat. Let's see, tomorrow's a big day. I have at least one friend stopping by. And my goal is to get the tow rails installed. And that will eliminate a huge amount of fasteners that are down here. I need to bring a bunch of them out on the boat right now. I think this whole stack, and that's it. All of these are the ones that hold the jib track down, and these round-headed screws are the ones that hold the tow rail down. What I need to do is try to put a fastener in every single hole in the tow rail, because I know that some of the holes were sealed over when I did the fiberglass repair work. So my goal today is to make sure that every single screw hole in the tow rail has a corresponding hole in the fiberglass deck, so that I can then install the tow rails tomorrow. And I hope I have enough caulking. I have 8 tubes of it, so hopefully that'll be enough. We'll see. So be interested in showing you what I've done for the boat, so let's head out there. So it is hot today, and it's going to be even hotter tomorrow. So I rigged lines from that tree, tied off over there, tied around this tree, tied around a fence post. One big line ran a ridge. I've tied off to my chimney. I've tied off to the post that supports the deck awning. I've tied off to that tree, and I tied off to that tree. So this big awning covers the boat, and hopefully will make it a little bit cooler to work up here. Maybe the camera won't keep shutting off because of the heat. It does feel significantly cooler up here. Alrighty, well, let's get to the tow rail. Actually, but first, I did find longer screws, and I think I may fasten down this cleat. That cleat is done. We just need to do this one. So, let's get her done quick. All right, well, I keep wanting to shut the hatch and sit down. Someday soon, we'll be able to do that. But in the meantime, all right, so that is the size drill bit I will need. Darn. These screws, some of them are standard and some are Phillips. I need to go get a standard bit. It's amazing how we can do work completely blind. Got the washer on and the nut without seeing anything that's going on. I should make sure I get all the other bolts in before I tighten that down too much. All right, I have the washer. Oh, there's the nut. Oh, good. I say, how did I misplace that? The old screws were flathead. The new ones are Phillips. Only one of the old ones was long enough to go through the new backing plate. And now that I have 3 installed, I'm going to remove the one old one and make them all consistent. Okay then, that project is done. Now let's start on the tow rail. And then, as soon as the tow rail project is done, I can start back in the cockpit. Since it has been 2 coats of primer, now it's ready for finish paint. Ugh. All right, I have my kneeling pad, screws, camera, and let's head up to the foredeck. So, I don't see any fasteners. Alrighty. Whew. It's still toasty warm up here. And I can't imagine how hot it would be up here if I didn't have this sunshade. Nope, that screw is pretty bent. I'll put that in my pocket. Now I'm getting a little nervous at how many fasteners I'm using versus how many I have. And I bought a lot of new ones. And I used most of the new ones to set this in place. And I thought, oh great, I only need a few more. I'm using a lot more, and this is just the starboard side. All right, now this is where I did some repairs. And there are no holes in the tow rail. Okay, that went in, that went in, that went in. That one's in, that one's in, that one's in. Most of these are in. Huh. I can see the hole. Okay. That's done. Okay, so that means the starboard tow rail has fastenings everywhere. Now let's see, how about the port tow rail? Out in the backyard, getting ready to get up on the boat. I just uncovered it. We had some bad thunderstorms last night, and there were some huge puddles and pockets of water in the tarp. So here we are. The starboard tow rail is now bedded and fastened down on the boat. You can see the blue tape around the trim on the cabin house. So I have attached the starboard tow rail and bunged it over and cleaned up all the bungs as I had done on the stern tow rail, and started putting finish on all of the little bungs and found some other little spots. Also am doing the starboard trim work around the cockpit and doing this starboard trim here. I've got a couple of coats of finish on those and on all the bungs. I'm probably going to try to get another 4 or 5 coats of finish on the bungs, and then do one last coat on the entire tow rail. I have a friend coming over later today, hopefully around noontime or so, to try to get the port tow rail bedded and fastened down. So I got the this hatch cover, new hinges on it. It's all fastened down, and the new support. Forward hatch was already done. And we'll air the boat out while we're here. So she's actually starting to look like a sailboat again. Once I get the port tow rail installed, then I'm really going to decide where the non-skid is going to go. Probably sort of mask around the foredeck, mask around these areas, and then just non-skid this foredeck area, non-skid down the sides. And then I have one more coat of paint, finish paint, to put on the cockpit area. The pedestal is actually looking pretty darn good. It was looking very ugly before, all peeling paint and flaky. So, I don't know, making good progress. So one more coat of paint, hopefully later this afternoon, I'll be able to get that all done. And then Tuesday or so, we'll be able to do the non-skid, and then we're ready for water. I am going to have to bung over all of the tow rails on the port side, and then put finish on all of those, finish on the port side, cockpit trim, and the cabin house trim. But again, the nice thing about the Sikkens is that I can put 2 or 3 coats on, in a day. So 2 days and I should be able to get that all completely finished. Oh, so it has been a crazy day. The port side tow rail is now installed. I didn't film the starboard side and I didn't film the port side. When I have friends over to help me and we're trying to get it done, I don't have time to be playing with the camera. I've just got to get her done. But anyway, a little bit of an explanation on what the process was. So you'd seen me putting all the fasteners in to have the tow rail, in its final position, all the fasteners in, holding it to, get its shape back again after it had sort of sprung after being off the boat for a year and getting refinished down in the shop. So we masked the deck, we masked the tow rail, pulled all the bolts out, and then rolled the tow rail over so that it was on the cabin house upside down. And then put in a lot of caulking on the underside of the tow rail. And then it was carefully rolling the tow rail over, because it's now covered with caulking. We don't want to make a huge mess. Get the bow into position and start to put a fastener, put a bolt in the bow. And we'd had the tow rail sort of up and out off the boat a little bit because it, springs out. So we got the bow in position, and then by sort of bringing it in and bringing it down a little bit, could get the second fastener in, and then the third and the fourth, and working our way aft, slowly bringing the tow rail in and down onto the deck, and just putting bolts in all the way down. Once we'd made it all the way to the stern, now the tow rail is completely in its position. Every single bolt is in its position. And then it was a matter of going back and me going down below with all the nuts and washers and my socket wrench, and my friend up on the deck with a screwdriver. He was holding the fitting, holding the bolt so that I could put the nut and washer on from underneath and we could snug everything down tight. So it was putting all the nuts and bolts in to hold the tow rail down, and then got to bung them all over. Once the bungs are all done, shaved off and sanded down and put finish on all the bungs, then we have to put the jib track back on. And then there are more fasteners that go all the way down through. Again, there's so many fasteners down below. The deck is bolted to the hull, and then the tow rail is bolted through the deck and the hull. And then the jib track is bolted through the tow rail, through the deck, and through the hull. So that section where the jib track is, holy mackerel, there are a lot of fasteners holding that all together. But anyway, so the starboard side has been bunged, cleaned up, sanded, and lots of finish on it, as I talked about earlier. Port side is next, and then I've got to do the little bit of trim around the cabin house and around the companionway hatches, and then finish painting the cockpit, and we're good to go. So that'll be in the next video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe so you get updates when the new videos are coming out. Thank you for following SV Slow Air, and we'll see you on the next video.